once said that he watched a man commit suicide at the Superdome. And he also said this.
When you look out of your hotel room window in the French Quarter and watch a man float by face down, when you see bodies that you last saw in Banda Aceh, Indonesia, and swore to yourself that you would never see in your country.
I accidentally ingested some of the floodwater. I became very sick with dysentery. Our hotel was overrun with gangs. I was rescued in the stairwell of a 5-star hotel in New Orleans.
Oh my gosh. And by the way, I went underwater and I helped patch up the broken seawall and repaired it, and my snorkel, and the whole thing came loose. I almost drowned. Welcome, folks, back to the show. The Malzberg panel is here. The host of the Christopher Hahn Show and former senior aide to Senator Charles Schumer, Christopher Hahn, and best-selling author and radio host Larry Elder. Gentlemen, Larry, let me start with you. It just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper. There's the Israel trip now. There's New Orleans. Of course, there's Iraq. Who knows what else this man made up?
Well, Steve, this is, in my opinion, the latest example of media selective outrage. Yes, Brian Williams is in trouble and should be in trouble, but a whole lot of people irresponsibly reported during Hurricane Katrina. I recall Wolf Blitzer looking at a bridge where a bunch of people were standing going, "Oh, so poor, so black," implying that the reason for the bad treatment was because they were black. A whole bunch of people were irresponsible. And if Brian Williams goes, a lot of people ought to go. Right now at CNN, Fareed Zakaria is a serial plagiarist. There are at least several major examples where he lifted whole cloths of writings from some other people. He's still there. There's no problem there. Carol Costello laughed at Bristol Palin when she was describing a physical assault, something that would have gotten a Fox reporter fired had anybody laughed at Sasha and Malia making the same kinds of claims. So journalistic standards went out the window when NBC hired Al Sharpton, guys.
What about it, Christopher?
Well, you know, I'm not going to comment on all the other things he talked about, but on Brian Williams, it does seem to me like he's got some serious trust issues. And when you're an anchor on a national broadcast who builds his reputation based on trust, you can't afford to lose that trust. So unless there's something he's going to say or do to help Americans regain that trust in him, I think his career in the anchor chair is probably over.
I think a bigger problem...
Now having said...
Excuse me, a bigger problem to me, and something people aren't talking about, is the original 2003 report, Christopher and Steve, was accurate. However, they edited in some radio exchange that gave you the impression that the chopper Brian Williams was in took incoming gunfire when that radio transmission came from the first chopper. That, to me, is really irresponsible, and NBC should be held to account for that. That's an NBC problem. That's not a Brian Williams problem.
When you're in the fog of war and one of the helicopters was attacked in the caravan, you know, you don't know what gets confused in that message relay. But it's the retelling of the story and the
edited in radio transmission from the first chopper, giving you the impression it was coming from Brian Williams' chopper. That's what I'm talking about.
I want to take this to another level here and start with you real quick here, Christopher, and that is Hillary Clinton. She wasn't in any fog of war, and she claimed that she was facing sniper fire here in Chelsea, and she talked about how they had a run and there was no greeting line in Bosnia, and of course that was absolutely untrue. It was a lie, and when she explained it, she said definitively, and that's what happened. And I got that soundbite. So she was no question in her mind. She made it all up. How could she be president of the United States?
I think she's going to be a great president of the United States.
That's no problem to you, huh? That lie?
No, not a problem. No, look, it's not as bad as people lying about weapons of mass destruction on Iraq or things like that.
All right. That's wonderful. That wasn't a lie. There was mass destruction. All right, you know what, Christopher? That's ridiculous. What about it, Larry? Larry, go ahead, Larry. Larry, go ahead,
Christopher,
Larry.
I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think a bigger deal is Senator Tom Harkin from Iowa exaggerating his war record. Look, lots of people make mistakes and exaggerate things that happen, but Christopher's right. Serious lies that lead to policy decisions are far more important. For example, when Obama repeatedly said that his mom, as she lay dying in a hospital bed in Hawaii, was fighting with her medical carriers. She did not. It turns out not true, but that narrative helped to humanize the whole fight for Obamacare. That's a very serious distortion we ought to be talking about.
Nobody went to war
Senator
because he's talking about his mom fighting.
And Senator Dick Blumenthal lied about fighting in Vietnam and had to take that back. It's a very easy mistake to make, you know. All right, guys, we're coming back with more of the Malzberg panel right after this, so don't go away right here on Newsmax Television, The Steve Malzberg Show.
But too often, what's missing here in Washington is a sense of perspective. Yes, there is a lot going on. Still, while the dangers we face may be more numerous and varied, they are not of the existential nature we confronted during World War II or during the Cold War. We cannot afford to be buffeted by alarmism and a nearly instantaneous news cycle.
And then Barack Obama gave an interview to some magazine or newspaper, and he blamed television for propping up the threat of terror and saying it was sexy. And that's why they go with it, because, you know, what bleeds sells, that kind of thing. There's really no threat, folks. I just want you all to relax and forget about everything that you're seeing out there. Joining us again on the panel is Christopher Hahn and Larry Elder. And Larry, what on earth is wrong with these people? She did manage, though, to talk all about global or climate change, as they now call it, and the LGBT community. But terrorism, that's not an existential threat.
Good. Well, there's a reason that we're now on our fourth Secretary of Defense, because we have no coherent strategy. When you have the prior Secretaries of Defense, Gates, Panetta, both saying that we should have left people in Iraq and both saying that we need a more robust response to ISIS, Jack Keane, the four-star general who advised Petraeus, saying the same things. You have people on the left now saying that we need a much more robust response to what's going on right now. Obama apparently believes that just by being nice to our enemies, showing how graceful we are, they will somehow change their own ways. That's kind of what he's hoping. It's naive and it's dangerous.
What about it, Christopher?
Hey, look, nobody said there wasn't a threat, but they are saying that, look, this is not World War II. These are not the Nazis marching on Europe. They are somewhat contained in the Middle East. We are working at it, but I don't see anybody on the right saying, let's put boots on the ground and willing to commit American forces there, because that would be thoroughly unpopular with the American people. So I think the president, working with the limited coalition he's been able to build over there, is doing all he can to contain ISIS. They are not, look, they've got a great website and a MacBook that they put out flashy videos, but they are contained in a small part of a war-torn country, and we're going to continue to contain them there.
Really? Well, let me ask you a question. Is Jordan the greatest military power since Genghis Khan? Why is it that we couldn't do what Jordan did in 3 days in 5 months? Why did we wait for Jordan to make all these great hits and take out all these great people and do all these great bombings? Why aren't we doing it?
Let me just say, this is more of a Jordan problem than an American problem. These people are
really?
directly
I'm glad
threatening
you think
Jordan.
so.
They are directly threatening Jordan. They are not directly threatening the United States sovereignty. They are threatening the Jordanian sovereignty, and they should have been involved with this long ago, as should every other
nation. All right, Larry,
nation
what
in the Middle
about
East.
it?
We are not the world's policemen, Steve. We should be out there doing everything we can to support these efforts, but we are not the ones who should be doing it alone.
Christopher has accurately described the politics. He's right. Americans don't have a stomach to send in 100,000 ground troops, in part because of the way the Iraq war has been maligned. I think most people don't realize we had that sucker won. And when Obama pulled out, we took out all the intelligence apparatus that we had that would have given us a heads up on ISIS.